Are you endlessly frustrated because no matter what you do, your 10DLC campaign just will not get approved? Your messaging provider, your direct connect aggregator gives you a flow chart step by step. Follow this and you'll have no problems whatsoever with getting this approved. Well, guess what? You followed each individual step. You made sure that you dotted every I and crossed every T, and it still gets rejected. Trust me, I've been there. I fully understand the frustration that you are feeling. Hi, my name is Will Craig. I am a co-founder of a company called Signal House. Signal House is a messaging provider that specializes in providing connectivity for CRMs. However, we can provide messaging for any application that sends a message to a person. And I personally have verified, vetted, and gotten fully DCA elected over 5,000 brands in their campaigns for the 10DLC channel here in the United States. So I know a thing or two about the 10DLC process. And today in this video, I'm going to be telling you the top 5 things that I continuously see over and over again for why your campaign gets rejected. So I'm going to uncover these 5 things. I'm going to do a deep dive so that the next time you submit your campaign, you will be in DCA elected bliss, no longer being endlessly frustrated for those campaign rejections. So before I dive into those 5 things, I'm going to give a little bit of background about the 10DLC process. If you already know about that, skip ahead just a little bit and you will see all of the juicy nuggets that we have waiting for you inside this video. So let's start with explaining a little bit about 10DLC, A2P, and this whole messaging ecosystem that we're talking about here. So 10DLC, what does this mean? 10DLC, A2P. So 10DLC, 10-digit long code. These are the numbers that everyone's familiar with. It's these 3 digits in the area code that correspond with a specific location in the United States. We are headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. 614 is our area code, our main area code. And so it's these numbers that I'm talking about. So they're 10-digit phone numbers where the first 3 numbers correspond to whatever location you are in the United States. What about A2P? This means application to person. So any application, any software system that can send a message from that application to a handset of an individual like my iPhone here, that is A2P messaging. Now, if I send that message back from my iPhone or send another message from my iPhone to your application, that's P to A messaging. It still falls within that overall classification of A2P messaging. So now you may be asking yourselves, now, how do I actually send a message from my application to a person? Is there a process that I have to go through? And the answer is yes. There's a 10DLC registration process. It's a 2-step process. The first step is going to be getting your brand verified. You can think of your brand as essentially your company details. So you're going to be entering the information, your legal business name, your company address, your tax ID or your EIN, as well as the type of organization you are. So if you're a private company, if you're a public company, if you are a 501c3, those types of things, as well as whether or not you are an LLC, an S Corp, like those types of requirements. And so you put in all that information, and this is done within this company called the Campaign Registry, or TCR. They oversee this 2-step process, and you're submitting that information either on your messaging provider. So if you're using Twilio, Telenex, Bandwidth, Signal House, whatever company you are using, when you submit that information on their platform, they are sending it to the Campaign Registry for that brand to be reviewed. Now, this brand review process is essentially instant. It takes anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, but it's very, very quick because all they're doing is they're matching up that EIN, legal company name, in the IRS database to see, is this the correct information? If it is, you get a notification that says your brand has been verified. If it's not, you get a notification that says that it is unverified, and then you have to go through that verification process again. But once you get through the brand verification, you now get to the campaign verification. So if brand verification was super easy, streamlined, straightforward, you just put the information in, hit send, and it gets approved. Campaign registration can be a little bit more difficult, but it doesn't have to be. And so we're going to be diving into, again, the top 5 reasons that the direct connect aggregators, which is the gatekeeper to the carriers, they sit in between the message provider and the carriers, and they're the ones who actually review your campaigns. So your messaging provider submits it to the campaign registry. It lives within the campaign registry. But the DCAs, whatever DCA your provider uses, is going to be the one actually reviewing that campaign. This campaign review is two parts. The first part of the campaign review is going to be all administrative. They're going to be looking at the way that you submitted your information, and they're going to be making sure that all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. The second review is going to be of your website, where they're reviewing your privacy policy and your call to action. Anywhere someone is putting in a phone number on your website, you need to have specific disclosures and CTAs. Now, we've done a lot of webinars that talk about the specifics of what you need here. And so if you would like to review that, go check out one of our webinars. They're going to be crazy helpful for you. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. The top 5 reasons your 10DLC registration got rejected. So the first one is actually not, so number 5 here, going in reverse order. Number 5 here is not actually your campaign review. This is actually on the brand side of things, and it's something that I see all the time. And it's that your EIN did not match the government data. So when you put in your brand information, they cross-reference that to the government database. It did not match up, so you got an unverified or you got rejected. You got rejected at step 1. And so the reason that people get this wrong a lot of the times is because they don't know where to find their EIN, or they don't know, should I be putting in the EIN for my business or for our parent company, whatever the case may be. So let me break it down for you super simply here. So the first part, where can I find my EIN? You can find it in really 3 different places, and it depends on if you're a business owner or just an employee of that company. So if you are a business owner, you can call the IRS. You can verify yourself. They'll give you your EIN over the phone. But I know sometimes you don't want to sit on the phone and wait for that. So again, if you're a business owner, you can also look at your SS4 or your W-9 form. So the forms that the IRS provides you, it's going to be on that form. Now, if you are an employee of a company, if you have gotten a W-2 at that company, it's going to be on your W-2. So your tax forms that you receive at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year for that tax season will have your EIN or your company's EIN on that W-2. So if you're an employee at a company, you haven't been there long enough to get a W-2, how can you get the EIN? You can just ask. So ask your accounting department, ask your HR department, ask your manager. They will help you find that EIN. So that's the first reason. You just didn't know how to get your EIN, so you may have put in the wrong EIN. But there's also another situation that I want to dig into, and that is where you have a parent company. So there's a phrase that is always used at TCR when it comes to brand registration, and is that you have to register the brand, not the brand behind the brand. And so if your company has been acquired or if you are a subsidiary inside of a larger organization, what you'll want to do is for the legal company name, you want to put that larger organization. For the DBA name, you want to put your company, that's that subsidiary or the child company, and then you want to put the EIN associated with your company in the EIN spot. Okay, so moving on to number 4. So the number 4 reason why your 10DLC registration got rejected, your website CTA is missing the selected use case. So what do I mean by this? When you register your campaign for 10DLC, they're going to review your website. And when they review your website, they want to see where someone puts in their phone number to receive content or receive SMS from you, where they're consenting to that. They want specific verbiage in there that says you are providing your express written prior consent to receive the type of messaging. So if it's marketing, then it would be marketing. If it is customer care, it'd be customer care, education, education, and so on. But you have to tell them the type of messaging that they are actually consenting to. A pro tip is that if you have a mixed use campaign and that mixed use campaign has multiple different types of messaging and marketing is one of them, then you need to have marketing as a separate use case. So I'm going to share my screen right here and I can show you what this looks like on the Signal House platform. So on the Signal House platform, when you go to get a demo, we have 2 different selectors here. The first one is going to be for customer care or customer support. The second one is going to be for marketing. So you can see where we have consent for customer care and consent for marketing. This is a new requirement that the carriers and DCAs have. And so this is something that I have seen actually somewhat recently someone get rejected for. So I just want to make sure that you know that that is updated guidance. So moving on, the number 3 reason why your campaigns have been rejected is because your support email domain does not match your website domain. So if you're using a Gmail, a Yahoo, an AOL, a Hotmail, whatever the case may be, that is not going to be acceptable. The only caveat that I would say with that is that if you have your company name as the name of the email, so example, companya@gmail.com or abctrucking@yahoo.com, that potentially can get approved. I've seen that get approved sometimes. But in general, they're looking for an email domain in your support email that matches your website domain. And a pro tip here is that in your help message, you need that same email. So you need a support way of contacting you. So it could be a phone number or an email. If it is an email, that needs to match your domain also. So we are on to number two. The number two reason why your campaign was rejected is because your privacy policy doesn't have the right verbiage. And so let's talk about what that verbiage should be. So when the DCAs are reviewing your website privacy policy, they want to see that you are limiting the sharing of data to third parties for marketing and promotional purposes. The key that they want to see is that you're not sharing SMS opt-in data to third parties for marketing and promotional purposes. And so you can really have one of two statements in your privacy policy. And before I say this is not legal advice. I am not an attorney. You should talk to your compliance department to determine specifically what you're comfortable with putting in your privacy policy. But in general, this is what they're looking for. They are looking for one of two things: either a statement that says we do not share or sell data to third parties for marketing and promotional purposes. If that is part of your business, that is okay. You can have a statement instead that says SMS opt-in data is excluded from data that we share and sell to third parties for marketing and promotional purposes. And just to the cherry on top, just to make sure that they understand what you're saying, you can put as an addendum there: SMS opt-in data will not be shared or sold to third parties for marketing and promotional purposes. And so that is absolutely a requirement. You will get rejected if you don't have that. And a pro tip here is that you need to make sure that your privacy policy is actually linked inside of your CTA, which brings me to the number one reason why your submission got rejected. And that is because your TCR submission, so what you're submitting your messaging provider or what you're submitting directly to TCR if you are a CSP, lacks the required 6 items that all CTAs have to have. That's the who, the what, the when, the where, the how, and the cost. And so let's go through each. Who? Who is actually doing the messaging? This is your legal company name. Your legal company name has to be in that disclosure. What? The type of messaging. We've already touched on this. When? That message frequency may vary unless it doesn't vary. If you only message on every other Monday, then you say we only message on every other Monday. But you have to have the frequency of the messaging in there. When will I actually be messaged? Where? Where can I review your privacy policy? So this is how number 2 flows into number 1. That privacy policy needs to be linked in your website CTA. How? How can I get help and how can I opt out? So you need help to help, stop to opt out, or whatever your specific keywords are. The final one is the cost. You need to either have the specific cost if you know what that cost is, or more generally, you need to have message and data rates may apply. So all of those 6 items, the who, the what, the when, the where, the how, and the cost, all of those have to be within your CTA. So those are the top 5 reasons why it got rejected. Your EIN did not match the government data. Your website CTA is missing the selected use case. Your email support domain does not match your website domain. Your website privacy policy doesn't restrict sharing, or your TCR submission or website CTA does not have the who, the what, the when, the where, the how, and the cost. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If it was helpful, be sure to share it to someone who also would benefit from learning this information. My name's Will. You can reach me at will@signalhouse.io with any inquiries that you have or just help and support. I'm happy to guide anyone through this craziness that we call the messaging ecosystem. So thanks so much, and we will be back soon.